This is 5 Minute Friday on exciting trends in open source data science. Welcome back to the Super Data Science Podcast. Today's episode was filmed live on stage in May at the New York R Conference. I hosted a panel there that consisted of 4 data science icons. We had Jon Conway, who is head of data science for private investments at 2 Sigma, one of the world's largest hedge funds. We also had Jared Lander, who's adjunct faculty on statistical programming at Columbia University and author of the best-selling book, R is for Everyone. We had Emily Zabor, who's a biostatistician at the Cleveland Clinic's Department of Quantitative Health Sciences, and J.D. Long, who's VP of Portfolio Solutions at Renaissance Reinsurance. Today's episode will primarily be of interest to anyone who's keen to hear deep experts opine about the future of machine learning and AI. In today's episode, the panelists answer a question from me about what they're most excited about or most concerned about with respect to the fast-moving open source AI developments that are transforming our world today. Ready? Let's jump right into the panel. We are at a time in history where we're seeing really powerful AI technologies. We are seeing AI talked about by the public for the first time in the last couple of years. In a lot of ways, the open source communities and obviously the libraries that have been developed in R, in Python in particular, these have allowed this AI renaissance to occur. And I am a techno-optimist. I believe that we are on the precipice of much, much bigger things and that those great things are accelerating. I think that we have a lot of wind at our backs in the sense of data costs, data storage costs plummeting all the time, data collection increasing exponentially year over year all the time, compute costs going down a lot exponentially all the time. And so with these kinds of winds at our back, we have more and more intelligent data applications at our fingertips, in our browsers, on our phones, in our cars, in devices, increasingly all over the home and the workplace. So this is a big question, but what are you excited about? What are you concerned about in terms of data and AI applications in our lifetimes, or maybe even in your children's lifetimes?
Sure. Well, I guess, in the short term, for excitement, and actually I think, for folks who are here or were listening to Hillary's talk, I think she really did a great job in kind of classifying the challenges of general purpose use of transformer and GPT technology, this idea of sort of accessing just the median output of stuff. In my professional life, we use a lot of these tools really as a way of creating more efficient workflows for more traditional modeling, like finding these kind of well-specified problems that have a kind of testable right answer, that we have confidence in the output, and then we can take those answers and say, well, it would be much more efficient for this machine to do it, even with some stochastic output being wrong, we can still use that technology. And that allows us to, have higher order thought on what we might want to do with that, say, features that we generate as a result of that. And so that makes me really excited because I think it's, like any other tool, it just allows you to kind of expand the canvas of stuff that you can do with them. I mean, certainly, on the negative side, I think we just don't really, the technologies like this, particularly I think on the generative side, that have this kind of pernicious influence of what people believe or don't believe, or even again in a kind of professional application, it's so much easier now to apply these things without having any sense of how they could blow up in your face, and maybe not even caring until it's too late, and then you're really kind of in a bad situation. So, I think that the pendulum will swing wildly back and forth for a while, and what I guess the thing that I'm most uncertain about is what will become kind of the new normal around this stuff, and what, without getting into too large of a conversation, like what role governments will play in that, and what role private industry will play with that, and academia, and we don't tend to be very good at that kind of trilateral negotiation.
Great answer. Jared?
Also, for the excited part, embeddings. Because it's sort of like it's trying to make a mathematical understanding of the world. And I've seen some use case recently, if you're trying to describe a bunch of symptoms, you might say you stood up and you felt faint, You might say the room was spinning. You might say you were dizzy. It was all vertigo, right? And now if you can map those all together and have embeddings, they should all have a similar distance to each other, and then be able to say, okay, well, this then gets generative and talks about vertigo, right? And it's a way of helping create understanding, and whether that's translating languages or just translating concepts. I think that is really cool if an embedding can sort of become like a true, like, deep understanding of the world. I think that is really, really awesome. The thing I'm worried about is, and I'm totally taking this from someone else, they said that all of this AI is automating away all of our creative work, leaving us time to do manual drudgery. Where in reality, we want to do the other things, but get away the manual stuff and let us be more creative. So I don't want that to happen. I want to open up the creativity.
Great answer. Yeah. Emily?
Yeah, it's a good question. I tend to be a late adopter of new things. It's both like a personality trait of mine. I'm really risk averse, and also in the field I work in, in medicine and biostatistics, like we're a little bit, I think, less tech savvy and a little more behind the times, partly because of data privacy issues and some other things. So I'm curious to see, for sure AI is coming to medicine, and I think it's going to be a very powerful tool actually in medical applications, in actual patient settings, and also in dealing with electronic health record data, which is like a completely missed source of information right now in many, many ways, because doctors write their notes into these charts, and it's not in a variable field where we can get it into a data set that I can analyze, but the information's in there, right? So like large language models are a perfect fit for something like that. So I think there's going to be some like great applications in medicine that I'm excited about. I don't know what they're going to be, and I'm like personally just waiting to see. I'm not like doing anything right now, but I'm excited about that. On the other hand, I'm like, should I even be saving for college for my kids? Is there going to be like a job market in 15 years when they're like going into the world? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of exciting things happening in medicine for sure. And yeah, could potentially have a big impact on our lifespans, quality of life as we get into old age and dealing with the big retiring population coming up. Hopefully AI can help us a bit in medicine. JD?
I'm reminded, like we all think in analogies, or at least most of us do quite a bit. So I think, and I find I do that more as I've gotten older because I got more things to, make analogies with, right? And I'm reminded of my optimism about the internet in the early 2000s, but it was also kind of naive. And my optimism, I love old machines, and I had an old motorcycle, I've had old Porsches, and the online communities in the early 2000s were just amazing because I could get the old manuals, and there was all these other gearheads who were working through the same problem, and I could post a picture of something and somebody would tell me what the problem was and how to learn how it worked and fix it. And I was just like, I felt like I was living in some sort of renaissance of information, because just 20 years earlier, 10 years earlier, if you had an old machine, and God help you if you had an old British or German machine, and you lived in a rural area in the United States, it was very hard to work on it, get parts, figure out what was wrong, and the internet totally changed that. And I felt like, wow, for people like me who are makers and tinkerers and everything, this is an amazing, world and a renaissance of everything. And I had no appreciation of how, also it allowed crazy people with really, messed up ideas to all find each other, and through the process of selection bias, reinforce all the worst qualities of humanity within each other. Like, I never saw that coming. Never in a million years would have, spitballed that that's what was going to come out, right? And it did. But we still have the other. So it's not like it turned into the bad thing. It's like it's the good thing and the ugly thing. And I think we're going to see that with the AI as well. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff, and where some of us are just going to be like, it's amazing. It takes a bunch of drudgery out of a bunch of stuff. And then there's probably also going to be some awful stuff that I'll sit up here and look back and go, yeah, I remember that conference when I said there's going to be some shit. Well, there's some shit now. But I don't know what it is. And that's that's my frustration, is I don't have enough foresight to see through the veil of uncertainty of exactly what it is. But I guarantee there's going to be some messy stuff as we progress. And I just hope that we're savvy enough and collective enough to navigate it, because, we've had mixed outcome on the internet. We could argue net good or net bad. I think net good, but it's bumpy.
Yeah.
We got bumps ahead, yo.
A year ago, we had drones being used for the first time in battle without any human in the loop in the Ukraine-Russia conflict in order to help those drones be able to get through jamming that Russians were doing. And so that sort of thing could potentially, you can imagine a few bad outcomes from that kind of, from weapons being fully autonomous.
You can go read Daniel Suarez's books if that's appealing to any of you. He had a whole series of books around some of these things.
There you go. All right, that's it for today's exciting and slightly frightening episode. If you enjoyed it, consider supporting the show by sharing, reviewing, or subscribing, but most importantly, just keep on listening. Until next time, keep on rocking it out there, and I'm looking forward to enjoying another round of the Super Data Science Podcast with you very soon.